Okay, today we are diving into something that is literally a game changer for how you treat yourself. We're talking about how to quiet that relentless inner critic and build some serious, true emotional resilience. We're going to unpack the groundbreaking research of psychologist Kristin Neff on the proven power of self-compassion. So if you've ever wanted to figure out how to replace constant self-judgment with a sense of enduring inner kindness, you are absolutely in the right place. Let's get into it.
I want you to start by honestly asking yourself this. Think about it for a second. Have you ever noticed how gently and supportively you talk to a close friend when they mess up or fail a test or go through a really painful breakup? You probably offer them incredible warmth and patience, right? But what happens when you make a mistake? Why is it that we extend such unconditional kindness to other people, but then subject ourselves to this brutal, relentless self-criticism? Just imagine, for a moment, treating your best friend the exact way you treat yourself. Picture telling them, "Wow, you failed that? You're such an idiot." You would have zero friends left. But that is exactly what our own internal executioner does to us. We berate ourselves, we replay our failures on an endless loop, we call ourselves terrible names, and we just convince ourselves that we aren't good enough. It is a completely contradictory way to live, don't you think?
Section 1. Chasing Self-Esteem, the Hidden Flaw. To really understand why Kristin Neff's work on self-compassion is so revolutionary, we first have to take a hard look at this hidden cultural trap.
For decades, we've basically been sold the idea that self-esteem is the ultimate metric for mental health. We're told we have to view ourselves as special, smart, and way above average. But look at this quote. It is mathematically impossible for everyone to be above average all the time. Just let that logic sink in for a second. When your self-worth depends entirely on always winning, or being perfect, or outperforming everyone else in the room, you are building your identity on a highly fragile, super unstable foundation.
So, let's walk through the dark side of this trap. The endless treadmill of chasing high self-esteem actually breeds narcissism and constant social comparison. Sure, when things go well, you feel great. But the moment you experience failure or rejection, your self-worth absolutely plummets. It even promotes cutting other people down just so we can feel a little higher up the ladder. Ultimately, this self-esteem trap makes you your own worst enemy, because any little personal flaw feels like a catastrophic threat to who you are.
Section 2. Your Brain on Self-Kindness, the Physiology of Care. Let's switch gears from psychology to hard biology to see what is actually going on inside your body.
This isn't just in your head, it's a physiological reality. When you criticize yourself, your amygdala literally perceives your own thoughts as an immediate threat. It hits the panic button, triggering the fight-or-flight system, and floods your bloodstream with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. You become both the attacker and the victim, trapping your body in chronic low-grade stress. But conversely, self-kindness does the exact opposite. It activates your mammal caregiving system and your parasympathetic nervous system. It releases oxytocin and endorphins. This literally calms your heart rate and sends a powerful biological signal of safety and trust to your entire body. Section 3. The 3 core pillars of self-compassion. This brings us to the massive paradigm shift of Kristin Neff's work. To replace that toxic, fragile self-esteem, we need to understand these 3 core elements.
Pillar number 1 is replacing self-judgment with self-kindness. When we uncover a flaw or totally mess something up, our automatic reflex is that harsh internal whip of anger and self-blame. Self-kindness means consciously choosing to be gentle and understanding instead. It means acknowledging that perfection is an literally impossible standard. So instead of fighting reality, you pause and you offer yourself the exact same warm, comforting support you'd offer a crying child who just scraped their knee.
Okay, moving to the second pillar. Common humanity versus isolation. When we fail, our default reaction is to feel totally isolated. We think everyone else has their life perfectly figured out, and we are uniquely broken, abnormal, and alone. But recognizing common humanity reminds us that suffering, flaws, and imperfections are universal. You aren't weird for failing. You're just sharing in the exact same vulnerability that billions of humans experience every single day on this planet. Realizing this instantly turns painful isolation into deep empathy. And then we have the third pillar, mindfulness versus over-identification, which is absolutely crucial. This requires a clear-sighted awareness of our thoughts and feelings in the present moment. Without it, we either suppress our pain or we totally over-identify with it. Over-identification is when you don't just think, "Oh, I failed at this task." You get swept up in the drama and actually believe, "I am a total failure." Mindfulness creates that healthy psychological space you need to observe your pain objectively, without getting pulled down into an endless mental spiral.
Section 4. Motivation rooted in love, not fear. Now, I know some of you might be feeling a bit skeptical right now. There's some deeply ingrained cultural myths about this, so let's talk about motivation.
We have got to debunk this myth right here, right now. The idea that self-compassion is just self-pity or self-indulgence or laziness that will completely destroy your drive to achieve. Well, the truth? Research shows the exact opposite. Self-pity isolates you, and self-criticism, it actually undermines your motivation because it makes the fear of failure so utterly terrifying that you just stop taking risks altogether.
The reality is that self-compassion provides fierce, sustainable motivation that is rooted in love rather than fear. Think about it. When you know that missing a goal will be met with kindness rather than brutal self-punishment, you're going to be far more willing to step out of your comfort zone. It provides the real emotional safety you need to look at your mistakes honestly, persevere after setbacks, and make actual, healthy, positive changes.
And guess what? This internal shift completely transforms your external relationships too. You cannot pour from an empty cup. It is a famous saying for a reason. When you drain your energy through relentless self-criticism, you end up totally exhausted and resentful. You end up projecting your own self-judgments onto your loved ones, expecting them to constantly validate you. But by meeting your own emotional needs through self-compassion, you drop that impossible burden, making you so much more patient and forgiving of their flaws too.
Section 5, the self-compassion break, and practical steps. Okay, let's move to a tangible tool you can literally start using today.
This is called the self-compassion break. Next time you feel stressed or flooded with self-doubt, just pause and walk through these 3 steps. Step 1, simply acknowledge the pain. Say to yourself, this is a moment of suffering. That's your mindfulness. Step 2, say, suffering is a part of life. That acknowledges common humanity. Step 3, place your hands over your heart and say, may I be kind to myself. That is self-kindness. In literally just a few seconds, you integrate all 3 pillars and start rewiring your brain's response to stress.
Another incredibly effective practice is compassionate letter writing. It sounds simple, but it is powerful. You basically just write a letter to yourself from the perspective of a wise, loving, unconditionally accepting friend who knows all of your deepest insecurities. By deliberately practicing this over time, you actually replace your automatic inner critic with a steady, highly supportive internal ally.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. You do not need to earn the right to be treated with kindness. You don't have to wait until you finally achieve perfection before you deserve care. Your worth is intrinsic. So here's my challenge to you. What would happen if you became your own safest refuge today? Lay down that heavy whip of self-criticism, abandon the exhausting race for self-esteem, and step into true emotional freedom. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this sparks a brand new relationship with yourself. Catch you next time.